Thanks for your time tonight. I'm actually going to talk more about Copilot and Copilot agents. So, what I'm finding with organizations that we work with is that agentic AI is really where you can make a difference. AI up until now is something that is cool, like I can do a search, but what does it do to improve business productivity? At any future state, please reach out to eManage though, because we can talk about securing it as well. That's what I normally do as a cybersecurity consultant. Um, so there's a couple of slides in here that have been generated by Copilot, and I'll let you know when they are. And this is one. So when we look at elements through time where there have been big paradigm shifts and things have changed substantially, you have the formation or the start of agriculture, where it meant that people had more time to not be foraging for food and that they could produce food before, when they needed to use it, all the way through to things like the smartphone. Before that, you had a computer on a desk. Smartphone has pretty much done away with the reason for a desktop completely, and mostly for a laptop too. And now, with agentic AI, you actually really do have the ability to save time, to really reduce the amount of time required to do tasks. But the most important message there at the bottom is that, every invention created more free time, which very quickly got used up, right? It doesn't actually make any difference to what we need to do. You still need people there to do the things. And at each point, we're just as busy as we were before, but now we're doing things that are hopefully more meaningful. We know that, and you guys will be across this. People within your organization are using generative AI, regardless of whether you've sanctioned it or not. If you're not providing it, they're using DeepSeek, they're using ChatGPT, they're using Claude, they're using their web-based portals, and they're doing stuff with it. Very likely, they're copying an email from work into that as well, and actually getting it to summarize and do things with it. Because if you're going through university now, like my eldest son and next daughter down, that's what they do. They use Copilot to help with answers. When they go into the workforce, they're going to use generative AI as part of what they do. So we know that's happening, but we're also spending way too much time searching and looking for data. I'm one of those Outlook users that has one folder, inbox. I don't even put things in the trash. And when I want to find something, I search for it or I know the date. So, you know, it is also one of those issues is how do you find the data that you need to find? This is the second slide that I actually have that was generated by Copilot as well, or the image was. You know, Agentic AI helps the business and speeds up business. And I'll show a couple of examples at the end if I've got time to do it, where I'm using it, so you can get an idea of that. Um, the last thing there is that, up until a few years ago, you needed to have office skills. You need to how to use software. You'll be asked, do you know how to use MyOb? Do you know how to use Zero? These sorts of things. Agentic AI for looking at new hiring into new jobs is becoming a thing that those businesses are asking for. I was at a recent Microsoft event, and that was the one of the guys that was presenting there said for every new starter, they give them a week to build an agent, to go out and build an agent and do something with it, because it really is transforming business. So it's important to understand what's possible with it. On the joke side there, when we look at agents, there's all of this agent talking to another agent, and that's the whole Microsoft premise is, you've got an agent to look at your emails, an agent to look at your files, an agent that will help schedule things for you, all of these things that are all working together or supposedly working together. And at the end of the day, hardly any actual work gets done, which is the piece at the top there. So Copilot, you've all heard of it. You're probably all thinking, why would I use Copilot instead of using Claude or instead of using OpenAI? And I will cover this in the presentation as well. What Copilot for 365 is it is Microsoft's, as you will know, Microsoft's generative AI answer. Now, what does it do? It uses what Microsoft calls Microsoft Graph. Microsoft Graph is a back-end way that services can get into your data, your Microsoft 365 data, and do stuff with it. What that means is it's a way of being able to work with Outlook, work with Teams, work with SharePoint, work with all of those platforms that you're working with now. It works across all of the Microsoft 365 apps, which again is something that other generative AI technologies don't do so well. And then lastly, it also pulls data in from the internet so you can ground your results or in what's current as well. So you'll probably be aware that when you work with generative AI, the results are not current because the models are only trained every few months. It's very, very expensive to train models. So you need that grounding, that internet data to bring it up to date and to make sure it's accurate. With Microsoft's AI, it starts with two versions. If you've got like a business standard license, you have access to Copilot Chat. Copilot Chat gives you the ability to know that everything you type in it or pasting an email from your business is secure. It doesn't go out anywhere except for your tenant, stays within, and it doesn't cost anything. It's available, I think, on all of the Microsoft licenses. So that's that starting point. When you go and pay for Copilot for Business or Copilot M365, then you get the agent capability and the other technologies on top, which I will show in a little bit of time. If we're looking at how we use generative AI, what we do with it, prompting is an art, right? When you do a Google search and you say, I want to find, show me the stats for United States crime, for example, you type that in and it brings back information. Prompting with generative AI means you need to put more information in to get better results back to you. So you're always looking at how can I improve what I tell it so that it gives me the most focused and the most specific information possible. Oh, I had that slide in the wrong order. Don't worry, we'll come back to it. What sets Copilot 365 apart from Claude, from ChatGPT and others? Firstly, it's grounded in your data. I had this question today at a meeting and the guy there said, my customers are asking, why don't we use Claude instead of Copilot? I said, that's really good. If you are doing things as an individual where all of your data is on the internet, I mean, all your data, you are searching for travel bookings, you're searching for opportunities for new business, you're doing things like that. That's great. Claude and ChatGPT are really good for that. That's what they're trained in. When you are in a business, what you're actually trying to do is build an RFP off information that you own, or build a proposal off information that you have, or you're looking to write policies based on information in your corporation. That's the difference between using Claude and ChatGPT versus Copilot, is that it's grounded in your data and the results you get back are going to be based on your data. So you get stuff that actually makes sense in your business case. Um, it also does not share anything. So if you're using, you all know now, the analogy is if it's free, you're the product. All of those engines, if you are pasting data into it, that data can be used for training and likely will be used for training because you are the product. So with Microsoft, you know that they do not share your data with anyone else and it's safe. And by the way, they do use Claude now. So they also use Claude as one of their options if you're on the paid version. What I have found with organizations that I've worked with is they've started with that Copilot chat and how do I just go and find an email from a year and a half ago? I was talking to this guy about this topic, and it's really good for doing that because agentic AI doesn't need specifics. You don't need to tell it it was this person and it was this date. You just say it was about this thing, and it'll find it because it understands that context. It learns the context. That's moving into what we'll talk about today, which is creating agents and getting it to do stuff that's really useful to your business and actually helps you save time, which we'll give you some examples about. And the next is actually going to be building that into business process. Simple case is a chatbot. Person can ask an HR question. That agent is grounded in your HR data, so grounded in your policy document. They can ask a question, automatically it'll come back with the answer for them. So saving them emailing one of the HR people to get that answer back. Those sorts of things become much easier to do because no one needs to code it anymore. In the old days, you have to write it. Someone has to actually be able to develop it. Now you can write a paragraph and it will give you that data. So when we're looking at agents, which is really the topic for today, what we're moving on to now is make it autonomous, make it do the things without you having to ask it. An example that I use it for is at the beginning of every day, summarize the emails from yesterday that I didn't follow up on and show me which ones I need to action. And it does that every morning for me. I get a list of things that I need to work on and I can take that away and do something with it. It's the sort of things that you think it'd be really good if I could have this process run for me automatically that I don't have to think about. Because if you're in a sales business, it picks up stuff that you forget. How many times do you have an email, or maybe it's just me, but you have an email that you have to follow up on and you forget about it. And then the next week you're like, oh my God, that email was really important. It helps with those sorts of things. Oh, you didn't respond to this email. You need to do something with it. So, what agents are the ability to go and find data on the M365 platform. So, in your case, if you're using Copilot, using the Microsoft Graph, it can access Teams, it can access OneDrive. If you're using Fabric, connecting things like Xero and all sorts of platforms together. If you're using SharePoint, all of those platforms, most businesses I deal with, that's the core of their business. And there's so much data inside those platforms that you could use and leverage to make an agent useful within your business. That's what we're talking about here. So retrieve the information from there, but also use the internet for the more broad data. So maybe you don't have a process for something, but you have a whole lot of information. Use the internet to get what a process looks like and then match it to the things within your organization that would help you build a data process, a data governance process, for example. Taking actions on that, so doing something, and I'll show what that looks like, and doing it every day for you, or when your Teams meetings finish. So, do you guys use transcription? So you transcribe your meetings, you get like it's really cool because it tags and marks the action items for you. So when someone mentions you, you get an item there that says you can use an agent to pick out all of those and create a task for you, or summarize that meeting transcript and email all of the attendees. It doesn't do the email, it'll pop the email up in the prompt. Do you want to send this? And you send it, and it's got all the action items in it. That's the sort of stuff that takes uh, even any large language model past being nice, giving you data to actually helping you save time within your business. I don't think it's going to replace jobs. I don't think it's going to replace a lot of jobs. Most people, you still need to drive it. You still need to have someone to do stuff with it. Otherwise, it's pointless. But it will save you time and it will make things easier to do. As examples, the spectrum of agents or the sorts of agents you might look to do, maybe you have a policy around your IT support and what to do if you need to reset your password, or what to do if you need to connect the phone to your IT systems. You can create agents around that. So people can go into Teams, they click on agent, they go to the IT agent, and then they say, I need to do this. And it can show them what to do, and it can also show the next steps, show them how this is what you need to do, and actually help them do those processes for them. All the way through to things like customer support that I mentioned earlier. What I want to do though, because I've only got 3 minutes, is just show a couple of agents that I use, because it probably gives a little more clarity around what is possible. What I have found is that, the difference between looking at um, what you could do before, when you can use a bit of code, you can write an application. Now you just write a paragraph, and I'll just show you some examples of a very short paragraph. Can you see my screen? So I had one of my colleagues come to me recently, and they were like, I've got to run this data security. I've got to run this data security engagement, and I don't know how to do it. And I was like, right, so go into Cowork. So Cowork is the new this Cowork is what is going to make agents possible with Microsoft. Look up the Frontier program and sign up if you're already using Copilot, and you'll get access to Cowork. So I said to Cowork, I need to create a data security workshop that is going to run for about 45 minutes and help our partners with their customers to generate some leads, but also how mature is their security organization. I'll show you the paragraph in a minute. I did nothing more than that. I came out with, it generated a list of questions. So you can see the questions there. It generated a scoring. It generated all the sums for the scoring. It generated a full summary process. It did a taxonomy. So it showed me all of how I would mark at each point. And then it gave me an action plan on top of that. Now, within Cowork, I started with this here, 2 lines of text. It goes away and says, here's the process. Give me some more information about it. It has actually laid out all the text for me as well. So I could read from this if I wanted to. I know it's small, it's hard to see, but it's mostly right. Like, you don't expect generative AI to be 100%. It's not. You need to know what you're talking about because you need to be able to look at the results and say, okay, but it's 80% of the way. I had 2 questions I needed to change. It went all the way through here, generated everything, generated the result, asked me some more questions. Here it was, how do you want this produced? I wanted an Excel scorecard. And then it's got the file right here. So all of that done within 5 minutes of my time. And I had an Excel format that I could use. Another example, I don't know how many of you worked in sales or need to be able to go through your emails to find contacts. I always struggle to take people's email addresses as I talk to them because I want to send stuff out if something's happening. So with Cowork, I just said, look at all my teams, look at my calendar invites, look at my inbox, and grab all of the external email addresses from partners and put them into an Excel spreadsheet. And it just goes and does that. It went out, it grabs all of those. It then said, because it realized that Microsoft is a common contact. So do you want to exclude them? Do you want to exclude Crayon? Because I work for Crayon. Yes. And pulled all of that data into a spreadsheet. And I had 300 email addresses, first name, last name, company, all of that stuff. I did nothing except ask it to go and look at those platforms. And then at the end of that, because I already had addresses in there that were duplicates, I could do a formula in Excel and I could say, okay, so find me this, remove the duplicates. It just said to Copilot in Excel, look for duplicates and remove them, not the column, not anything like that. And it said, oh, the email addresses look like they're the unique column. Do you want me to remove all the duplicates? And it removed 147 addresses. That stuff saves time. So, leaving you tonight, because I think I'm right on time now, look at Cowork, look at what you can do with your data, and look forward to opportunity to speak to you after at the drinks. Thank you.